It's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Ministry of Education says another 100 schools will be added to the list of those allowed to resume face-to-face classes on a phased basis. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Grace McLean, made the disclosure at today's sitting of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, the PAAC.
And so my team is now working with those schools for them to commence the phased face-to-face opening. And so gradually, as we track the COVID cases through the Ministry of Health and we are guided, we will see more of our students to be coming in face-to-face for engagement, as it has shown that the schoolroom is actually the best place for our students to be engaged based on the wide and varied other socially related and other issues that they have to contend with within their communities, sir.
Dr. McLean says the Education Ministry's pilot to resume face-to-face classes has been a success.
We currently have the full evaluation report that we expect that our minister will share with Cabinet and Parliament for some time next week. But we can say that the pilot was a success, and it will now pave the way for us to make the adjustments that need to be made as we move forward with the reopening of our schools.
The pilot was launched on November 10 in 17 schools at the primary and secondary levels. Dr. McLean says the issues faced during the first week of the pilot have been resolved.
The pilot has gone very well. The first week of the pilot, there were some issues in terms of the management of the lunch sessions for about 2 or so of the schools, as well as the schools' ability to manage medical emergencies. By the end of the second week of the pilot, those issues were resolved, and based on the evaluator's report, we had very few areas that we could consider unsatisfactory.
Dr. Grace McLean, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education.
And Dr. McLean says attendance this year is about 15 percentage points below that of last year.
So as it relates to the full monitoring, the attendance of our students based on the information that we have shows that on an average we have 65.2% of our students being engaged in one of the different approaches, whether it is virtual, audiovisual, or learning kits. And when we compare this to the student attendance for 2019, which is 80.2%, we are about 15 or so percent below what we had in 2019.
The Acting Permanent Secretary notes that attendance in the face-to-face pilot has also been low. However, Dr. McLean says as more schools return to face-to-face learning, attendance should improve.
The attendance rate based on the evaluation may have seemed low, but it was out of an abundance of caution of the schools introducing the blended approach that we had worked out with them during the summer when we thought school was going to be open in September, which meant that it's only a component of the population would be on the school compound at a particular time. Also, the pilot was new, came at a time when some of our parents were not fully ready in terms of the preparation of the students as well. And so we are optimistic, sir, that as we move into preparing the schools, it's going to get a little better.
Dr. Grace McLean, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry.